And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer Split. We are rounding out week one here in this third day of it. I am still Pyrotechnics. He is still Clement Chu. And, of course, our sponsor, you know him, you love him. They're CTBC Bank. They're always by our side. We are family after all. And, of course, I want to give another special shout-out to Carry Live, Riot Games, and Garena for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, coming up on the docket, we have two teams that are still in the hunt for their first win. It is Meta Falcon team and, of course, a new name, some old faces, of course, Dewish team.
Yeah, Dewish team this time around, they're trying to get away from the Hurricane or Alpha trajectory. They still have pretty much the same players, but this time around, Lacune and WSJ in the top side are going to be different. We have only seen 2 games from them, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think their losses have had a huge amount to do with those 2 lanes. Their number one issue is still getting through the early laning phase for the bot side, okay, because currently, we know Bang 2 can do great things in team fights, but the laning phase has been absolutely disastrous for him, and he's yet to find a single kill. So I think that is going to be my number one point to look for Dewish team. And on the other side for MFT, we are getting 6665 back into the roster. He actually dropped a game, had Renhao, their support, play a pretty good Lee Sin, but now 665, the old traditional carry, is back. We'll see what that does to shake up the team.
Yeah, so for Dewish team, no changes on their side. They are Lacune, WSL, Xiaotu in the mid lane, Bang 2, and Enhao. Now, Xiaotu, of course, has gone through several iterations, right? You might remember him as a mid laner on Alpha, but then, of course, he disappeared. And who came in his place? A jungler named Olio. But now he's back. You've never seen him in the same room, though, at the same time. I feel like there may be something to that.
And I just want to apologize to WSL. I got his name wrong for the nth time.
No.
I keep on getting him confused with the Wall Street Journal, but of course he's not that. He is WSL right here. So
oh my god. Well, he's hoping he can make Bang for his team, I would imagine. I mean, he is looking to show off. We've seen him on a Trundle. We've seen him on the Viego pick, but this is a team that, they've made a couple changes. As you mentioned, it is still kind of the same core. So that laning phase, that's what we need to see him step up in.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to mention Dewish team. For me, they are very much trending towards a poke composition. They're once again playing on the blue side, and what we saw from them the last time on the blue side was the Ezreal and Corki pickup. Ezreal is definitely Bang 2's best champion, and for Xiaotu, he's a big Zoe player, so poke should be kind of what we expect from them.
Yeah. On the MFT side, we have Taco in the top side. 65 once again back in jungle. Wen, Whale, and Issue, of course, their new player coming into this split. Previously, this was the team that we lauded them as being the boys out of collegiate, if you will, and that they wanted to play together as a team, but they have made at least that one change. But Issue is somebody that doesn't really have a whole lot of comp experience, and we've only seen him on these engaged champions, or excuse me, these tank champions, like the Leona and the Tom Kench. I'm not sure how I feel about the roster change so far, Clement.
So far, it doesn't seem like there's been a whole lot of movement in terms of, I think their bot lane identity has stayed the same, but this split, the biggest thing to pay attention to is Taco and his Kale. That seems to be the go-to for Meta Falcon team. They know the games do tend to go long, and they nearly had a win, just Taco 1v4ing against Beyond Gaming. Unfortunately, they weren't able to close that one out, and in the second bout against the PSG, PSG gave a lot of love to Taco in the top lane, so we'll see if that Kale trick can still work for the third time.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think MFT, this is going to be, I don't want to say this isn't like make or break or anything, but if they can beat Dewish team here, we'll show some signs of life. We'll see if it works out for them. For Dewish team, they need to survive in the early game, but we are into picks and bans. We have Ari center removed to the blue side, and Tom Kench banned out on red.
Yeah, this is rather interesting, just making sure that the entire bot side isn't able to play. We still haven't seen the Zeri ban, which I do want to mention has been 100% banned throughout the PCS until this point. I'd be very surprised if MFT don't ban it, but this is the weirdest thing about MFT drop. Even though Whale just doesn't really play Zeri, they have been willing to let it open and try playing against it, which I don't think is advisable, but it's certainly something they have done.
maybe MFT are the team to do it here in the PCS because there has been a counter strategy. As I say it, Azeri does get banned away at the end, so they're teasing us. I was going to talk about the cat-rat combo, right? We've seen the Twitch Yumi come through as a potential way to deal with it, but that's not going to be an issue this game as WSL gets the least in lock-in.
Very interesting. WSL actually not going to go for the Viego, which is kind of the go-to answer here. Probably wants a stronger mid jungle presence. As we talked about, WSL and Xiaotu are both connecting in from, I believe, Shanghai. So the two of them do tend to play together here. On the other side, MFT not even go for the Viego. They're going to fight fire with fire in the early game and just go with the Volley Bear.
I mean, that's something that can put a lot of pressure, especially once you get that level 6, getting the dive-ins going. Wouldn't be surprised to see the next pickup for MFT being that pair with the Calista, the Renata Glass. That has been kind of standard for Duish team, playing around with what they want on an AD carry. We've seen Ezreal so far, but they get the Ashe lock in here. It feels like they got a nice little 1-2 punch with the Lee Sin as well.
Yeah, very interesting selections right here. I don't think Ashe lane is all that strong, but we have seen her utility just be able to free up other sides of the lane. And hey, if US team want to play mid jungle, maybe that would be a good answer to just have those enchanted crystal arrows going down the middle of the map. On the other side, Wen gonna go with the Silas. So I feel like MFT, they're still very much gunning for that ultra late game scenario that they've been so comfortable with.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on Duish team to provide that pressure, right? So into the second ban phase, we see Corki removed. Xiaotu's already shown 1 game on it, so we'll see a new champion from Xiaotu this time around.
What are you going to go for here?
Oh, kill ban. Oh no! They sniffed out the strategy, Clement!
It wasn't going to last forever. We all know the ban was coming sometime, but I'm really interested in what Duish team pick up here because their composition so far is lacking in a lot of damage. Lee Sin, Ashe not packing that late game potential, so I feel like these picks have to be huge for Xiaotu and Lacune here. I'm really looking forward to something like the Azir being selected in. I feel like you need to have a lot of presence, and especially wave shove against something like the Silas here.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a potential problem. If it's all utility, you're not going to be able to do much more, but they're still going to ban things out. The Rel ban away. Like that might have been a read on maybe some scrim stuff from issue, but see how it goes, MFT, how they're going to round the comp out. Taco may get the last pickup here. As, again, I kind of fully expect the Renata to come through. It does make sense, and it wasn't banned.
Definitely feels like it. You know, Renata herself is very vulnerable to the level 6 all-in coming in from Bang 2 and Enhao, but before that, this is still going to be a winning lane on the side of MFT for sure. So, you know, they're willing to chance it and just go with what is provided in the meta.
All right, so the Gwen we've already seen once from Lacune does add some damage for them.
Did have a bit of a rough time earlier on this champion, but still very strong in the meta, and there comes the Azir.
All right, this is a lot of magic damage, though. I do want to point out. I feel like this could be countered by items.
Definitely could be the case.
Do it. Do the Jax. We've seen this matchup already.
Very strong early game if you can get it to go. You know, Jax has that favorable trade with the counter strike. I wouldn't put it beyond Taco.
Aha, there it goes. All right, so you talked about the Taco playmaking strategy. How do you like this draft altogether, Clement?
So there's a couple facets here. For Duish, they're very clearly a kite composition. I think this is going to be a very difficult test for them. Duish's old problems on Hurricane have always been coordination, and with this composition, you really need to know how to portion your crowd control and deny the enemy one wave at a time. If you use all of your crowd control and counter engage earlier on, you might not have much left for the further engages. For MFT, I feel like this composition is actually fairly easy to run. There are a melee composition, a ton of bruisers, and they just try to rush you down. That's kind of the composition.
And MFT was, last split, it was a slightly different roster, admittedly, but they were kind of known for being that team that, because they had kept the core intact from collegiate days, they kind of had a good amount of synergy built in, and they pulled off, those crazy, like, Galio Wombo combos. So you have to think, like, just a dogpile comp is going to work well for them. I think all eyes are going to be on Duish team in this early game. If they can do what you say and just kind of, like, try to parcel out a little bit of that aggression, try to make the measured plays, if they can improve the coordination that, we've seen them lacking in the past. It doesn't matter what banner they play under, the issues have been the same. Maybe they can get their first win here in the split, Clement. Otherwise, MFT looking pretty good and feels like they got pretty much everything they wanted.
Yeah, I feel like both sides did get to play their style. As we did talk about, Duish has always been more of kind of like the pokish team, the team that kind of stays a little bit further away from their enemy, while MFT, they just like to rush things down. They love to play bruisers with Whale. Galio's kind of their go-to melee mage in the mid lane. So I feel like both of these teams are in their element. However, at this level of gameplay, I do think MFT does get the upper hand with the ease of execution. There's so many ways that you can tower dive someone, and for Duish team, they have to think multiple steps ahead to avoid a lot of these pitfalls.
That ain't going to be easy for sure, but will they be able to pull it off? We'll find out as we load up onto Summoner's Rift here. Duish team and Meta Falcon team, both in the hunt for their first victory of the split. Looking at the opponents they've faced off already against, though, worth keeping in mind, Impunity and J-Team were the losses for Duish team, whereas MFT, they've lost to Beyond Gaming and CFO, who both had a couple struggles themselves, I have to say.
Yeah, they've all played pretty difficult teams coming into the split, so I think the results so far are pretty much expected. Taking a look at the runes right here, we do have the Glacial Augment on the bottom lane, and this is one point where I feel like Duish team does have a chance to just flip the lane. Is their bot lane kill threat is through the roof. Once they hit level 6, I expect Renata to just die off cooldown pretty much nonstop. So I feel like for MFD, they really want to get a big lead early, pre-6, and try to swap the lanes around.
Yeah, for MFT, on their side, they just want to survive it out. I mean, like, whenever you have a Jax on your team, I feel like time is always on your side. At some point, he becomes a very massive problem. But right now, a massive problem for Wen is that he face-checked into 3 members. That's a quick first blood.
That was completely... I don't know what to say about that. They didn't have any sweepers. He face-checked against a Nautilus and an Ashe and was instantly punished.
That's like the definition of running it down. But not mid lane, running it down jungle.
And he also has to burn the TP for it. But in the meantime, Taco, just showcasing welcome to PCS, Lacune.
Yeah, Lacune has had a little bit of trouble to start, but I think there's a lot of strong top laners in the PCS, and Taco has certainly shown himself to be one of them. Very much impressive performances in the spring. I remember the Akali game. I think he nearly solo carried. So he loves playmakers, and I think it's a good meta for top lane playmakers.
For sure. I feel like Taco can play a lot of those sort of split pusher champions.
No, pan away from this. We don't want. Oh man, it's painful.
Yeah, this was a little bit unfortunate. I feel like Wen was trying to sneak a deep ward in just by assuming that Duish team, all of their members would be on the red buff already, but they had other plans.
Ooh, that was a really nice preemptive flash by 665. They're going to get a kill back for Wen. Really nice coordination from the MFT mid-jungle.
Yeah, I love that early flash coming in from 665. He knows that he wants to get the body block onto the E, so not giving Xiaotu any chance to escape whatsoever. They can hold this wave now. Like, both sides have expended their TPs, so that does mean that WSL is going to have to show up mid to help his mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love when we see players coming in with the acronym names. I know he kind of bamboozled you, Clement, but yes. I'm now curious what it stands for, you know?
Usually it's just their initials, so I'll go check the names.
Okay, all right.
That's actually what it is.
I'm gonna check it too. Yeah, I mean that would be like the obvious answer, but I always feel like it's got to be like ever since like I saw MLXG, you know, in the LPL, I was like, okay, learning that spicy hot pot is actually amazing. So I always feel like there's got to be a good story somewhere, you know?
Yeah, or it could just be like LWX where it's actually just his initials. So I'll try to find that one out.
It's a 50-50. There's no middle ground at all. Oh boy. But getting back into this one, while you're doing your research, while you're digging deep and finding that information, let's take a look at the game state, right? After the little oopsie for Wen, he does get a kill back. So the Sylas is still kind of on the board. You've had Xiaotu not only burn his own flash, but also the teleport to get back to lane. And yep. Sylas has a lot of value ultimates to steal. I think this is a really good pickup for Wen in general. Empress Divide's a little weird. You can kind of only push one direction. But that's okay. You've got the Needlework, you've got the Ash Arrow, you've got the Nautilus ult. I think there's a lot of opportunity here for MFT with their, 5-man bruiser squad, if you will.
100%. I feel like Sylas was a really good answer to the Nautilus that they saw earlier on into the draft. And looking at the lane right now, Azir really should have a bit of a lead against someone like Sylas earlier on. He's supposed to have kind of more jungle control in the lane, able to leave lane and help them out. That's not the case, and that's very scary because it could mean that if MFT can hold on to Wen's lead, then the bot lane kill threat is gone. This bot lane in the Ashe Nautilus is just meant to kill you at level 6, but if there's a Sylas in the mix, that might be much harder to pull.
Speaking of leaving lane, Eno actually went on a bit of a roaming spree himself, and you can see Whale and Issue have been able to catch up on CS and get ahead a decent bit. This is also going to open up the Hextech Dragon, which is happening in full vision, but Duish team can't really do anything about it unless WSL wants to go for the hero steal. Ren's up. He goes in. He thought he might have the opportunity, but he didn't take the Lee Syndrome. Wen covers their escape here as Xiaotu does not find an opener, and MFT just going to walk in and take it, but Duish aren't done yet. Sonic Wave on a 665 into the hook. They do manage to find Issue, the turnaround there. WSL taking a lot of damage from those spears, but it's Enhao that goes down first. Wen picks up another kill, and Duish on the run. Flashing forward, Issue looks for the handshake, forces the flash follow out of WSL, and Bang2 forced to flash away. So that early game, the struggles you were talking about, Clement, they are still here.
I'm very surprised that Duish team decided to full chase that. I thought the play was just to make sure that MFT had to take the long route back to the bot lane. To be honest, Duish team just don't have a lot of combat power pre-6. Their composition, all of their champions are very much tied into their ultimates. We'll watch this again. They do get a lot of good poke up onto 665, but unfortunately for Enhao, he's not able to find the critical hook onto the low HP target, and the turnaround is there. It's if you look at these champions, like pre-6, the red side just is so much stronger, and they're able to get another kill onto Wen, which, as we mentioned, if he starts leaving the lane, then what can you actually do in the bot lane now?
Yeah, that's the struggle. I feel like Duish team are not entirely reading well what they should be doing in the game, right? Like where they should be going, when they should be going. The roam from Enhao too did kind of mean that it was a lot of free farm for Whale and Issue, who haven't had any trouble. I mean, look at the CS difference now. You got about 12 ahead. Bang2 has no flash. You talked about kill threat being gone. I mean, level 6 is happening pretty soon, and Issue and Whale, like, we've seen this Kalista-Renata duo just have so much power once ultimates are involved.
Yeah, especially when they have that extra flash summoner up as well. It's not even guaranteed you're going to be able to land an enchanted crystal arrow. And I do have a small update for you. I have found out what WSL means.
Oh boy, the mystery will be solved. Let's hear it.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is really fun.
It better be spicy.
So, it technically speaking isn't his initials, but it still is his initials. It's just his initials spelled backwards. That's it.
You know what? That's a twist. I'll take it. Every good story, well, not every good story has a twist, but, you know, that one has a twist, so I'll take it. Backwards initials. So he's LSW.
Yeah, he's actually LSW, so
okay.
There we go.
That'd be kind of cool, too. Maybe that's a Smurf's name.
Yeah. I think it's, you know, it's kind of creative. It's kind of a pun on the meta, but let's see if he can survive this.
Does get hand shook, and now they're going to try and shake and bake here as unfortunately, Whale on level 6 is able to save his support, and they end up losing the support on the Duish team side. That means Taco and 665 just combo up on Herald, so MFT just kind of better on the top, better on the bot. giving themselves all the advantages and 1,000 gold lead in the bucket.
That was insanely opportunistic. I'm not really sure why they would hard force that one. Silas was off the map. Maybe they thought that Wen was basing, but Wen definitely has been a player that's been known to give up farm and just be at the right place at the right time. So we'll watch this again, and the important thing here to note is that, okay, Wen has a Scryer, he knows WSL is coming over, and DWT still go in for the play. Very nice Fates call there. Probably doubled up on the was the stasis? Or probably not. It's just just the face call being used right there.
Oh boy, now you're gonna even bring 665 up so they can continue bullying. Meanwhile, Enhow taking a lot of damage too. The hostile takeover does come through. Thing too. Only one target.
Oh.
Whale actually getting quite low in this one, but the Ren stacks, that would be a big difference. Not enough to get the kill. Playing on the edge there is Whale, especially without cleanse now. But still, they get the better of them every time. Close to a 2,000 gold advantage across the board for MFT, not to mention that Dragon. And Jewish team still kind of riding the struggle bus in this early game.
Really interesting decision in the top lane. We actually see 665 holding on to the Herald and not just straight dropping it. I think he's waiting until he can get a clean first tower here. Or he might be going for the bot lane. If you take away the bot lane kill threat there, then DWT don't really have much options to play through. So maybe they're thinking about syncing up the Herald for either the Drake fork here or just straight dropping it bot.
Yeah, I think they have a little bit of time on the board, so they are certainly thinking about at least setting up for the Drake fight, and looks like the stronger team overall. If you want to bring Lacune and make it a 5v4, like he is already in mid, you're going to have to worry about the Jax potentially just pushing it in. But they're hoping this 5v4 can dissuade the pressure. Looks like it can for now.
DWT are definitly hard forcing themselves into this one.
Wen, though, is going right into it and steals away the Emperor's Divide. Actually gets them pincered in between a wall and a Sand Soldier line, but it's not enough damage to finish the fight, so the Dragon resets. This actually is going to be seeded over, and Jewish team will cut the Drake stack.
Yeah, so the play that DWT went for is they hard forced themselves into committing into the Drake. We saw the TP very early on coming in from Lacune just to make sure they had the numbers advantage. They go in, and I feel like that just gave MFT so many different options to play with. You know, Taco's going to get the first tower right here. Not even sure they needed to drop that Herald, but oh well, you know, they're still going to get a second charge probably. And in the meantime, I feel like this is going to leave DWT scrambling because WSL has to get something done here.
Yeah, she finds the handshake. There's the Enchanted Crystal arrow, and the Fate's Call just yoinks him away. I mean, it's a full-on bamboozle if you're trying to get a kill onto the support in a Callista game.
Yeah, so I think a little bit unfortunately for MFT, they actually misplayed this a little bit. They didn't need the Herald drop early to take the first tower. They should have saved it for the second one. And in that scenario, they actually could have gone both. But Taco could have been so much further ahead. But, you know, still, in the grand scheme of things, MFT outplay the bot side. So they end up winning both sides just off of the Drake tempo play. I'm not a huge fan of DWT's Drake play right there. I felt like it just gave way too many options for MFT to play around the map with.
Yeah, well, I mean, you talked about how this was a kite composition, right? The way they've been playing it, though, is very hard force. So I think this is one of those situations where Jewish team, similar struggles in coordination to try and pull off that type of comp that they have locked for themselves. And MFT, they're experienced enough to know how to pick this apart.
Yeah, already 3,000 gold lead at 12 minutes here, and the scary thing is everything is concentrated on this Silas.
I know, right? After he feeds First Blood, he gets 3 kills after the fact. What? It's like Wen was like, here you go, some charity, now I'm going to play for real.
What this means in the game is like MFT can really transition into multiple different styles of comps. I feel like they can play 1-3-1 right now. Taco's definitely going to go for the 1v1.
Here's the thing about Gwen. She's not immune at melee range. Oh, this hurts. This hurts. There's no flash. There's a dash, but a follow. And Taco with the solo kill. So it begins. WSL chase here.
Doesn't have the flash, so no
Two levels
kickback.
down. No, there we go. All right. Meanwhile, back down to bot. A little bit of a zoning handshake there means that there are going to be free plates for Whale.
Yep, and they can't really walk up here because you know,
There's a Volibear.
the Volibear can just disable the tower, so they just have to stay back. I like this play from DWT. They know that, you know, bot lane's kind of a lost cause in this 3v2 situation, so they're trying to hard force Sylas at least to show up in the lane, but they should be losing this one pretty hard. They're even going to have to send Xiaotu here, and that's super dangerous because he's running across the map with Wen, who's 3-1-0 chasing him.
Yeah,
I think they have to give this up.
I think so too. There's really nothing the Jewish team can really do on the map right now, and it means that MFT, they can roam through enemy jungle without repercussion. Getting free wards down. I mean, Jewish team, they're having such a hard time here. Now, Bang 2 does manage to pick up his mid. Goes for the Gale Force on this one. But as you mentioned, this is a comp that finding the damage is a little bit difficult. You're going to be relying a little bit on Lacune, who just got solo killed by the Jax, mind you. And they are going to try and rush for the Herald. Maybe they get something done with it.
Well, this is going to be a little bit risky, but I believe they do have the time to take this one down. The question is just how do they get back into the mid lane to defend their tower? I don't think MFT is going to give them the easy route back.
No, I don't think so. The fight is on, though. That is going to be 665 ulting away. As WSL follows him through, manages to get one. They do turn back onto the jungler. Jewish team, both are down, and the bailout goes through. That is going to be buying a little bit of time as Wen does fall. Shut down gold falling to Bang 2. MFT, though, answer right on back, and Whale picks up 2. Taco chasing down the lone survivor as Bang 2 will get back to the relative safety of tower. But, man, they made him pay at that Herald pit.
Yeah, I felt like Jewish team were trying to hard force that one back. It was a good start, but they weren't able to get any of the kills. Stormbringer getting extra HP for 665 means that he does get out scot-free in the end. And we just saw MFT prepare a bounce house coming in for DWT here. Sure, they get the first kill, but watch the finish. The Fate Calls goes in. They also have the, I believe the Nautilus was stolen away, or maybe the Emperor's Divide there. Either way, DWT spent a lot of time in the air, and I don't think this is how you want to play your composition. You really have to rely on the pick potential in these early phases of the game before Azir really has that damage online.
Yeah, and that's the struggle, right? Like, you're already far behind, about 5,000 gold. MFT, they're going to get another Dragon off this one. Mountain Rift, of course, what we're dealing with this time around. And oof. Yeah, I mean, they caught Wen. I think that's the upside, is they've been able to pincer him. They give Bang 2 some much-needed gold on the board, but he gets bailed out by issue. It buys enough time for him to at least absorb a lot more pressure, and by that time, the Jewish team just kind of run out of steam. So they're really hoping that they can get Xiao to Azir online mode. But the issue is, the later the game goes, their damage relies a lot on him and on the Gwen, which means magic resist is pretty high value.
This lane allocation is just killing me. Lacune cannot go into any side lanes. He's so far behind right now, so he's actually sharing EXP with Ashe in mid. That is never something you want to see here. Props to DWT, this is what they've always done. They like to funnel all their resources onto Xiaotu, but you know, I think he's still a ways away from that 3-item Emperor mode that we know of Azir.
Yeah, he's exactly 2 items away from it, in fact. Right now, just sitting on a single completed. I mean, the Dark Seal is there, but, I mean, he needs some kills. So it's going to be a little while before that Azir is going to be especially relevant. They have to kind of hang on for dear life for the time being, and we'll see if he's able to get more done as the game goes. I mean, at least he's got his Mythic, right? The Leander's Anguish, that's not nothing, but you have to contend with the Sylas, who I'm pretty sure got that Everfrost at like 12. And Wen just picks up an Hourglass. It's going to be a little harder to kill at this point. I've been impressed with his performance after level 1. Really stepped up on the Sylas.
I think he's been able to hit the abducts very nicely, and using the ultimates quite well to get the critical engages. There's a lot of ultimates that he can choose from, to be honest. Like, there's almost no wrong choice when it comes to stealing ults from DWT. So he's in a very happy spot right here, and what I want to see is how DWT can play proactively. When MFT is playing 1-3-1, then what you want to do is try to catch out the 3-man. You don't have the damage to finish off the whole team, But if it's only, let's say, Whale, then you definitely have a shot. The difficulty here is that they do have to land the Enchanted Crystal Arrow on the Callista, or else it's just a straight Fate's Call into a get-out-of-jail free card.
Yeah, 100%. You also got to be a little careful going for a full 5-man dive, right? Because there is always that hostile takeover you have to respect. Shout 2. The Emperor's Divide shoves Taco into WSL, and maybe they can... Oh, I was about to say, maybe they can make a play, but unfortunately, Taco jumps right on top of the Azir, and Jiao2 gets shut down. WSL finally will get him, but a 1-for-1 trade in that 2-on-1. Not what you like to see if you're Jewish team. 20 minutes, about to crest over 6-5. Fancying his chances on a dive-in. Would love the Stormbringer to come through. He may not even need it, though.
They get the shutdown, I will say that. I'm not sure about the Dragon's Rage and how good that one was, but...
Yeah, that was like get out of here. Oh, no, that's my Azir. Speaking of, they grab issue, but, well... He's got him with the Fate's Call yet again.
Yeah, you really have to focus on the Callista in this situation, but to be fair, even then, the Whale does have that cleanse up and ready to go. DW, they try their hardest, but no cigar here.
Yeah, it's just so difficult. Trying to find an opening. I think MFT have done a really good job of kind of covering all their bases. And at the 20-minute mark, MFT going to add another tower to the column. That's number 4 compared to Dewish just picking up a single one.
Now, I will say that if it does go to the late game, Dewish team does have a lot of scaling to match. I don't think either team is going to win or lose based off scaling. So, you know, if DWT can drag it down long enough, I feel like their composition still definitely has a lot of outs for them. But it really is about surviving and lane allocation at this point. The biggest problem for their composition is that this Gwen is getting no resources whatsoever. Like, we haven't seen Gwen in a side lane being able to push past River. I think for the last maybe close to 5 minutes, we just, like, Lacune has nowhere to go, and he's actually just doubling up or picking up scrap waves.
Yeah.
So
he's 50 CS down on the Jax. I mean, this is how you can tell. He's a full item behind, and that's a feels bad, man. So the Gwen just can't really match side pressure. I mean, it's always a struggle against a Jax, right? Unless the Jax gets fully shut down. But unfortunately, they need the Gwen to be strong at this point because they need to scale Xiao2 up. It's just not happening. Trying to absorb as much farm as he possibly can, but he's just been denied at just about every angle, and he catches that wave up top, but it's all MFT here. They can just flex their way down bot, into mid, just take another dragon. There'll be soul point after this. They can actually start to muscle in on Baron. I don't know if they're feeling like they can take it right away, but they do have a Callista. I mean, against a big objective like that, Rend is basically an extra smite.
You know, I think if for MFT with such a large lead, they should be willing to chance a 50-50. And just another reminder, they are still the engaged composition, so I think it's very easy for Gwen to just steal a Nautilus ult and do the turnaround fight.
True.
So I think for DWT, the most important thing here is to get that hawk shot down on timers and make sure you sync those blue trinkets with the Ashe cooldown here, and make sure you always have coverage of that Baron. You know, if you're around to poke out MFT from range and make their life a little bit more difficult, that could prevent the success of the turnaround fight.
Yeah, just trying to buy some time here. Keeping an eye on Xiao2 as well. Remember, we want to get to that 3-item Azir before he's going to have the big relevance. He just picks up item number 2, the Demonic Embrace. So he's getting there. He needs time, but he's getting there. I mean, it's been a rough game so far for Xiao2, but I'm curious to see if it's going to work out all in the end. Both these teams, as a reminder, still looking for their first win on the split. I think Dewish team definitely feeling like the underdogs for the most part. Early game struggles continuing. They have found a couple of kills here and there. Unfortunately, it's mostly on WSL.
But they don't know where Wen is. They haven't spotted him.
Now they have. Oh, and he steals the Nautilus ult.
So all MFT have to do is just to drag this out until Jax starts to hit the tower. Either 2 people have to go and defend against him, or there's going to have to be TPs burned to come back and cover the Baron. So MFT...
Yeah. Whoa. And how gets for the flash hook. It's immediately dodged by a flash from 665, trades across the board. They're going to retreat on the path. Lacune forced under tower, 2-level difference between him and Taco, who's just having an absolute blast on this Jax.
I gotta say, that was not a very good flash from 665. He didn't need to use that flash.
I think he panicked, man. I think he saw the flash hook and he was like, oh.
That was kind of funny. He's unstoppable when he uses his ultimate anyway, and he flashes directly backwards, which is still in trajectory for the enchanted crystal arrow, and then he jumps out. Kind of funny, but it works. It works.
I suppose. Ooh, when? He's caught here, but it's still big enough.
There's
Force
the
the
Jackson
issue.
of outside.
Meanwhile, oh dear. Okay, they're gonna be able to chase off. Yeah, Lacune pops ultimate. He pops ignite as well, just to dissuade the Jax. But the Jax doesn't have to burn anything. Taco hits 16 off the back of that.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I said. Like MFT, they can kind of just wait this out. DWT did a good job of using the opportunities they got, but unfortunately, no target was there to present itself for kind of the 4v3 that they wanted to look for. So I think MFT, what they do right now is they just kind of run this play over and over again until TPs are burned and they get to decide when they want to find that team fight or the flank wrap.
Very straightforward game plan. Definitely have the control in their favor. Or Jewish team, they're still trying to buy time. They're still trying to wait it out. But even when they get to that big 3 out of Mazir level, like, you still have issues, right? You know, Lacune has been set so far behind this game. The draft, I do want to talk about how the Ashe is a little bit weird. I get the idea of setting up the Crystal Arrow play, but you give up a lot for that, and you're kind of relying pretty heavily on the accuracy in the fight. And at some point, if MFT are far enough ahead, you start talking like QSSs and stuff. There's already a cleanse on Whale.
I just don't think that this composition was going to ever work out that easily, to be honest. Like, they saw the Callista and then went into the I believe like they went into the Ashe after seeing the Callista. Yeah, they did. So they knew that Face Call was going to be available and they would have to catch someone. That means you basically have to catch Whale with your engage, and that's just so difficult to actually pull off. So we haven't seen a pick actually work out here for Jewish just yet with this composition, and I think this game feels very similar to the previous game that we saw, where just kind of cash comps being very difficult to execute.
One team has a much more. Well, I was about to talk about how they have an easier plan, but I think the easy plan for Taco is just 1v2 this game. I mean, this is how it's going right now. He's like, wait a minute, maybe I can get inhibitor. Nah, I'm gonna run for it. Okay, and he gets out.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
You could have flashed back in too. There was no flash on point. You could have
Taco has millions of options right now. He can do whatever he wants, and MFT, they're gonna be able to take this Baron. A lot of Ren stacks in. Issue, gonna try and zone here. He does have the handshake. In fact, they actually turn it. They want the fight instead. Hostile takeover comes through, but a little bit of a split focus here for the MFT side. Maybe it's an opportunity for Jewish team to make a play here. Positioning good for Bang 2, but Taco realizes that's happening from the back line. Arrows flying. They actually do manage to get a shutdown. It's landing in WSL's pocket, but his teammates are falling all around him. MFT didn't start the cleanest, but it ended with a near wipe. A triple kill for Whale.
I like what Jewish team did. They try to all in onto the Baron. You catch them out where they have negative magic resistance, where they're all just bunched up inside of the pit. But unfortunately for them, Taco did manage to heal up and get back into the fight in time. Also, it was a really nice job by Issue to cover up that entire ramp with the hostile takeover. So Jewish aren't really able to make it into the river, and they get away with all the game plans that they set up to do. We can watch this again. I feel like this is kind of a hard forced play. You can't really fault them for going in onto this one, but very nicely done by Issue. He catches 3 members here. The entire engage does get slowed down. Taco actually gets outplayed here. I know Bang 2 does a really good job at trying to kite away as long as possible. Taco didn't really do as much damage as perhaps wanted to, but it didn't matter because the rest of the team was there cleaning up anyway.
Yeah, they also had the wallet diff to work for him. I do like what Bang 2 is doing there. I think we've already seen in the spring split that this is a man that has hands, but unfortunately you're on an Ashe. There's only so much you can do. You don't really dish the damage that other AD carries do, and when with the stolen enchanted crystal arrow does find Enhao, just keeps him locked up and forces him to flash away. Taco, meanwhile, on the counter-strike absorbs a lot of the pressure. This is 2v4, by the way. He's
no
back
respect.
in.
They're going back in.
Oh, wait, okay, that is too bold. Oh, is he not going to get punished for it? No, he's not. Of course not. Of course.
They're just trying to face
they're
tank for the wave. This is This is kind of hard to watch. You know, Wen even has a Magi's. He doesn't care. He knows he's not going to lose it anytime soon.
He bought it at 2 stacks, I want to point out.
True.
Yeah, no, this is confidence from MFT. Feeling pretty good as they are looking to get their first win of the split here. First couple days, a little bit rough for them. Facing off. Talk about it in a second. The inhibitor does fall down. It's the last desperate stand for Dewish team. Never really got what they wanted out of the early game or the mid. Tried to hard force a few plays, just didn't quite work out, but a massive advantage here for MFT, pushing Baron-empowered minions down in the mid lane, waiting for more to fall. I don't think they're even going to be necessary, as there goes the Stormbringer and the Emperor's Divide to shuffle them all back into the waiting arms of MFT. Xiaotu, Lacune, and WSL do get away for the time being, but that is going to be the towers falling with the Baron-empowered minions. They even managed to take out Bang 2. And with the Nexus Bear, once again, a 30-minute game just under is what we get for an MFT victory here on day 3.
What a nice dominating debut win coming in for MFT right here. I felt like the draft composition was exactly what they've been running this entire split. Put your faith into Taco. Let him late game carry. We can see that MFT so far is one of those teams that is going for the red side selection. You know, this depending on which region you have looked for, there have been a lot of must bans coming in for the red side, like the Zeri, like the Wukong. But MFT has been one of those teams that I think actually favors the red side because they get that last pick for Taco and to play that 1-4.
Yeah, that's the big trade-off, right? Like, yeah, you have some must-ban champions unless you feel like you can prepare a counter pick, but then you definitely get that counter pick for one of your strongest. And I think this team is definitely built around Taco's ability to carry. We saw it in the spring split. We saw some really highlight performances from him, and now we are seeing it yet again. I want to give a shout-out to Wen. When he fed First Blood, I was a little concerned, I'm not going to lie, but he really stepped up. I think 665 did a great job shadowing his lane, helping out. They kept Xiaotu on the back foot, just repeated pressure meant that Azir was really never able to get online. There was no kill pressure on the bottom side because there wasn't enough resources to allocate, and Taco just got to do Taco things this game. So MFT, game plan accomplished. They find themselves at 1-2 to close out their first week.
Really nicely done here. If we take a look at the draft, I actually felt like, you know, Dewish team, this was a pretty okay draft. They had a lot of win conditions, but the main issue that happened is I just think they forced too many fights before they actually hit level 6. The Lee Sin fight in the bot lane was kind of a freebie for Wen to pick up, and also the chase down that they had towards the mid lane didn't make a whole lot of sense, and that's where they really sunk a lot of their tempo. They weren't able to find just an isolated kill lane in the bottom side. And I'll be honest, this game feels a lot like game 2.
It was a bit of deja vu, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, why don't you just two-man gank the bot side? But never really happened this time, and they let MFT get into way too strong of a mid-game position. Silas was able to 1-3-1, no one's able to match him, and they're able to run at you from all different types of flanking positions, just kind of making Dewish team's composition unplayable before they can get that big Azir.
Yeah, it does kind of beg the question now. We've seen 2 games in a row that maybe some of our squads just haven't quite got a lid on not just like the meta overall with a lot of new champion picks, but just in terms of what you want to do against teams that are picking things like the Kalista, Renata, like trying to find weaknesses, trying to pry them open. And we know that the struggles for this roster on the blue side for Dewish team kind of continue through the name changes. They still have these troubles early game. I'd love to see Bang 2 on a champion that can have a bit more impact early. I think he might be the kind of guy to pull out something like a Twitch where they can go for the big like outplays if they let Zeri through. I don't know. I'd love to see a little more out of that. For now, it's been the Xiaotu show, but it hasn't really succeeded. Here's how the game went down. It pretty much was MFT's from the early outset. There's a little pinch of blue in the beginning, and that was when just kind of full sent it into the jungle, but what can you do? Nobody's perfect.
Exactly, and he made up for it terrifically afterwards anyway, starting this game out with a 3-1 and a very early mythic to get the ball rolling. On the flip side, I do want to see more glimpses of what WSL can actually accomplish here. I have so far not really seen that many successful ganks, so I'm really wondering what their what their game plan is or what their development plan is with this player. In the past, with Hurricane and Alpha Esports, they've always had this sort of a Chinese duo coming into this one, and I'm thinking that Do they want to play more of a two-man game? Do they want to sink more time into that or not?
Yeah, I'm curious as well, but we'll have to keep an eye on them to see how they develop. But for now, we do got to award our MVP for MFT. It is going to be Whale on that bot side. Had a Callista game, and I think MVP, especially for saving his support. Normally, we kind of see that kind of thing the other way around, but Callista's champion that can do it the other way. 75% kill participation, very, very instrumental in the victory, as well as just about everything on the map. So got to hand it to him. Whale had a pretty solid game. Certainly wasn't the only one. The team made it pretty easy for him.
Yeah, it was really beautiful to watch how well they positioned with that Renata always in front of the Callista. If something wrong happens, if the Nautilus ult comes through, you just yank her out and everything is fine.
Absolutely. All right, we're 2 games down. We've got a few more to go, but don't go anywhere. When we return, J-Team takes on Sen 9.